Welcome back everyone. In this video I'm going to show you how to make roast beef in the Weber kettle. Alright, so we're going to be using our standard 57cm Weber kettle. We'll start by taking our lid off, then we'll remove our cooking grate. We'll move these charcoal baskets to one side, then we'll get some firelighters going. I'm going to be testing out some new ones from Zippo, so we'll lay 3 of them down. Apparently you can get 8 minutes burn time out of these, which is really good. Then I'll light them up with my Zippo butane torch. I'll put my charcoal chimney on top, and then you want to fill that up with either lump charcoal or briquettes. What we'll do now is we'll give these briquettes around 10 minutes until they're ashed over and nice and red hot. While that's happening, we'll prepare this beef roast. All right, so here we have our cut of beef. This is an eye of round roast or Girello roast. If I had to choose a cut of roast beef, I would go for something like a sirloin, a Scotch fillet, rump cap, or any of those more premium cuts. This is a really lean cut of beef, but it's a cut I've been requested to do a heap of times. So here we are. So this thin layer of white fat, I'm going to leave on, but any silver skin, I'm just going to trim off. I'm also just going to square up any thin edges. Now this cut of beef, the eye of round, I used to use it all the time for making jerky. It's a really good lean cut for that. A lot of people do roast it, but being such a lean cut, you really want to be serving it medium rare. Now if that white fat was really thick, I would trim it down to 2 or 3 mil thick. Or if you didn't want any fat on there at all, feel free to trim it all off. And I'm also keeping in mind that this end is a little bit thicker than the other end. So we can afford to trim a little bit more off this thicker end. But right now, I'm happy with that. It's looking great. Let's season it up. All right, if you've got a favorite beef rub, go ahead and use that, or salt and pepper will do the trick. But today we're going to be using my beef bounce rub. First, we're just going to give this a light coat in olive oil to help our rub stick to the meat. And then we'll season it up. All right, now this is all trimmed and seasoned. We'll come back now once these briquettes are ready to set the rest of this barbecue up. All right, so our briquettes are ready. So what we'll do now is take our chimney out, spread our charcoal baskets out and fill them up with the briquettes. All right, and then we'll put our lid on. You want to make sure both your top and bottom vents are wide open, and we'll give our Weber a few minutes to preheat. All right, we are ready to get this roast on. So we'll take our lid back off. I'm just going to get a drip tray between the 2 charcoal baskets. We'll get our cooking grate back on. We'll get our beef roast in. We'll get a meat probe right in the thickest part of the roast. Then we'll get our lid on and let this roast away. So before you put your meat on, you want to make sure that you don't have any dirty smoke coming out of your barbecue. If you've got thick, heavy white smoke, that's just going to leave a bitter taste in whatever you're cooking. So make sure that your briquettes are ashed over and red hot before you put them in. And as for our cooking time, the starting weight of that beef roast was 2 kilos. We trimmed a few 100 grams off of it, so I'm assuming this cook is going to take just under 2 hours. But as always, we're going to be cooking to internal temperature, not time. The feel of the roast isn't really going to matter with this cook because we're not smoking it like we would a brisket or pulled meat. We're going to be aiming for a medium rare doneness, so we're going to be taking this roast out once it hits 130 Fahrenheit or 54 degrees Celsius in the thickest part of that roast. And if you're looking for a cooking temperature, I like roasting at around the 450 Fahrenheit or 230 Celsius when I'm roasting beef. For pork, I like to go a little bit higher just to help set that crackling. Or if you had a different type of barbecue or you wanted to use your oven and follow along to this video, you can absolutely do that by following the temperature guides. But for now, we're going to let that beef roast go and we'll come back once we're a bit further into this cook. All right, so we're about 1 hour 15 into this cook. I reckon we've got around half an hour left. And all I've done after 45 minutes is I've just flipped that roast over. So if you do notice at any stage of the cook that your roast is starting to get a bit dark, don't be afraid to rotate it around just to help avoid it burning. So we'll continue to let our beef roast away. And while we've still got some time, we're going to prep some baby broccoli. All right, so we're going to do some charred baby broccoli while our beef roast is resting a bit later on. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pour in some olive oil, a squeeze of lemon juice, some of our garlic goals rub. Then we'll mix that around. Then we can set that aside until we're ready to cook it while our beef roast is resting. All right, and just over 1 hour and a half in, we have hit temperature. So we can take our probe out, we'll get our roast out, we'll get it on some foil, and then we'll just wrap it up loosely. All right, so now our roast is out, wrapped up and resting. You want to account for a few degrees carryover. So take that into account depending on what internal temperature you're aiming for. And it's really important to let a roast like this rest for a good 10 to 15 minutes. If it's really cold outside, take it inside to rest it. But it's quite a warm day here, so I'm just going to let it rest as it is on the cutting board. So while that's resting, let's get some veggies on. All right, now we're going to start with some corn. We're just going to get some straight over the charcoal baskets. I'll also get a tray on with some butter we want to melt down. And essentially, you just want to grill your corn for a couple of minutes per side, just to get a nice char on them. You don't want to see any shriveled corn kernels. You don't want to overcook it. So I'll rotate these every couple of minutes and I'll come back when they're almost done. All right, and once you are happy with your corn, move that off the direct heat. And I'm just going to give it a brush in some of that melted butter. Then I'll hit it with a sprinkle of salt. And now we can get our baby broccoli on. And we want to give that about 2 to 3 minutes per side. Right, and when your baby broccoli's done, we can take that off the direct heat as well. Now that will all stay nice and warm in there while we slice our beef roast. That's pretty bloody tasty. Like I said, it's not my first choice of roast, but it's been requested so much, I had to do the video. So there you have it, how to make roast beef in a Weber kettle. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to ask them in the comments below. Shout out to all my YouTube members. I hope you enjoy the special perks and discounts. But for now, I'm gonna go serve the rest of this up off camera. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.